Welcome to the Come Up Starter Kit, guys. My name is Shanker and I have some wonderful guests with me today, Brad and Matt, who are the co-founders of Steele's Gate. Thank you so much for jumping on board.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming out.
Wonderful. Now, Brad, what is Steele's Gate?
Steele's Gate is a boutique winery, restaurant and cellar door located in the heart of the Yarra Valley across two unique sites.
Wonderful. And what do you do across the two sites?
Over in Steele's Creek, it's the home of our winery. The vines there are over 45 years old, dry grown, and completely surrounded by Kinglake National Park. Here in Dixon Creek, the home of our cellar door and restaurant, the Vineyard, again, is over 40 years old and dry grown.
Brilliant. And we are here at your beautiful restaurant. What do you guys do here?
So here in Dixon Creek, when guests visit, they're more than welcome to enjoy a sit-down wine tasting with the vignerons, Matthew or myself, or enjoy a sit down in our beautiful restaurant, enjoy those gorgeous views, and just ultimately enjoy some yummy food with our amazing wine.
Wonderful. And in the next segment, I look forward to picking Brad and Matt's brain all around the art of winemaking. We are with our rain jackets and gumboots, and I am here with Matt outside. Now, Matt, what do you do here within the business?
Depending on the day, it really does. I can be a medic, I can be a viticulturalist, I can be winemaker. So at the moment, predominantly I'm a viticulturalist at the moment. So we're out here in the vines because we are in the biggest growth time.
Okay.
My role in the business is from particularly looking after both our vineyards and then coming together in the winery with Brad to make the wine together. So coming from an engineering background, I bring that to the team. Okay. And Brad brings more of the science and chemistry. So when we make the wine together, we bring both some great expertise.
Match made in harmony.
We think so.
Talk to me about the vineyards that we are in at the moment.
So we're in the Dixon Creek property with our restaurant in the background, possibly.
Okay.
On my left, we have here Pinot Noir. These 7 rows here are a French clone of Pinot, and on the right, or behind you, this is Shiraz. So you can sort of see straight away that there are differences between the vines.
Yes.
I named them all last year.
Okay, and what are the names?
Pinot is the princess of all grapes.
Right.
It's really fussy. It doesn't like it too wet, doesn't like it too dry. I just don't want to. It's just such a princess. Shiraz is kind of like your teenager.
Okay.
No, it doesn't get out of bed at the same time with the rest of the vines, but once it does, it just parties. And it just parties and parties.
What is someone looking for? What makes a great vine?
A great vine, like these ones here, are looking really good this year. Okay. We have had some disease issues that we've been working through, and that's just across the Yarra Valley in general.
Right.
But looking here where all the nodes have thrown a cane is really good.
Now, for the people that are not so technical like myself, what is a node?
Right.
And what is a cane?
If you have a look at this is a cane. It's a lovely fresh new cane. It's producing 1 bunch there. Okay. Most canes will produce 2 on a healthy plant. Each of these is then a node. Okay. And so when we put a new cane down each year, it's called cane pruning. Okay. And the number of buds is then called a node. So each of the buds, or each of where the bud will produce, is a node.
And traditionally, if you grow one vine,
yep,
does that traditionally make a bottle of wine, or how many berries do you need in order to make a bottle of
It
wine?
very much depends on the variety.
Okay.
So you'll probably get less out of a Pinot than what you will out of a Chardonnay.
Ah, right.
Chardonnay will probably get somewhere from 24 to 32 bunches of grapes.
Okay.
And they vary in weight and depending on size, depending on the vineyard, depending on the season. So there's so many variables that we don't know until probably January, February.
Okay.
We can start to then estimate based on bunch size and weight as to what we're going to get off each vine.
Brilliant.
But off each vine, you're probably going to get a couple of dozen bottles.
Okay, right, interesting. I know a big thing here at Steels Gate, it's all around sustainability.
Yep.
Talk to me about that.
Sustainability is about everything to do with the business, holistically how we manage our business, even from how we do our business plan. But in the vineyard, it's practices like minimising poisonous sprays, so we don't do a herbicide spray under vine here.
Okay.
We've brush cut, we throw grasses under, we let every second row grow a bit crazy to bring in insects and to help bring natural nutrients back into the soil, such as nitrogens. That sort of really helps to sort of give your ground a natural fertiliser.
Okay. What is the life cycle of growing your vineyards? How are you planting in a particular month, or how does it all work from that perspective?
If you're planting new, you want to be planting late winter, early spring.
Okay.
For us, we prune, start here around about, so the Pinot we would have done in June, July.
Okay.
And cycle where we're now October, so we've had a probably good 8 weeks of growth. We've got 2 sets of buds on each of the vines at the moment, on each of the canes coming up, sorry. These look like little bunches of grapes. They're not, they're just buds.
Okay.
So, baby grapes.
Right.
They will flower very soon.
Right.
And it is pretty cool. The flowers are like millimetres in length. They naturally pollinate, so we don't need the bees, but the bees bring other natural happiness to our vineyard to make it a more biodiverse environment versus a monoculture, which is traditionally what vineyards are.
Perfect. So I notice here, the lawn is cut.
Yep.
But over here, it's not. What's the difference?
So in previous years, we have mown every row. The last year and this year, we're leaving every second one, like I said, to try and encourage insects coming through, but also a lot of the plants, particularly things like clover, bring a lot of nitrogen in. And by leaving it, it's helping throw the nitrogen back into the soil, especially at the moment where we've got so much water that they're not fighting with the vines for the water. And then we throw the grass under to really try and suppress the weeds.
Okay.
And over the next month or two, we'll really gain a fair amount of green material underneath the vines to help sort of suppress and also then help retain the moisture when it gets drier. Hopefully it does. Hopefully we get some sun this summer.
Okay. And so how big is this property that we're on at the moment?
19 acres in total, about 12 acres under vine. We've got Chardonnay just over there, which you probably can't see from here. These are 7 rows here are Pinot.
Okay.
We've then got about 11 rows of Shiraz, another 3 rows of Pinot over the end there, 1 row of Cabernet Franc, which is absolutely stunning, 1 row of Merlot, which is another underrated grape. Love a good Merlot from a good area. More Chardonnay, and then down the back there is Cab Sav. So we cover all key mainstream sort of varietals here. On our Steels Creek property, we have only have Chardonnay and Pinot where we started.
Okay.
And then we buy in some Iberian grapes from a vineyard we partner with up in Nagambie. So
wow.
we've played around with Graciano, Bastardo, and Sazao. So they're quite different. And
depending on the vines that you grow, do they all need different type of attention?
They do. Some are, sort of said fussier than others. We're tucking at the moment. Things grow at different rates. So at the moment we're just doing little things like tucking under the wire to make sure they're growing up straight. Shiraz, like I said, it's going to go wild. So where the Pinot will probably, the canes will get about this long over the season. Shiraz, this vine will probably throw one down about 3 or 4 vines away. So they just go crazy.
Wonderful.
And so they'll need more attention, particularly trimming and stuff during the later season. Pinot maybe not so much. You can see the difference here too, like just looking at Shiraz straight out, you can see the difference in the leaf.
Yeah.
So this has got sort of your in and out kind of structure. This is more of a solid type structure. So it is often hard to pick the difference. But even with Pinot, so over the far end, there are 3 other different clones of Pinot. The leaves look very similar, but when the bunches start to grow, you can clearly identify that the bunches are different shapes.
Wonderful.
Shiraz grows it's a manly bunch. Cab Sav, big bunch with smaller berries, a lot more spread apart. Okay. So it's a lot more dainty kind of a bunch.
Right, okay. What we're going to do in the next segment, we're going to check out the other property and learn a little bit more. Now here we are at the Dixon Creek property here with Brad. Now Brad, what is your role here within Steels Gate?
Yeah, so my role is really the overall operations of the business. Matt oversees the viticulture, but together we come together and make the wine. In terms of operations, it's everything from marketing, it's working with kitchen staff, front of house staff, and really looking at that overall end-to-end experience for the customer.
Yeah, amazing. Now, you guys have an amazing story. What is the story behind Steels Gate?
So it really, I guess before Steels Gate was born, you know, our entry into the wine industry started back in 2003.
Okay.
Matt and I were traveling around Australia, and a really good friend, a successful business owner, said to us, if you're ever going to start your own business, it needs to be something you're passionate about. And we found ourselves going from winery to winery and around Australia. It was when we were in Margaret River doing this, we thought, actually, you know what? I think we do have a bit of a passion here. And we made a lot of contacts along the way, and, you know, understanding, I guess, how each winery set themselves up became of interest.
Right.
So we opened a retail and wholesale outlet in Chapel Street. It was successful, did that for a couple of years, but then had the opportunity to move overseas corporately. So we sold the business and moved overseas.
Okay.
And I guess it was at that point that we really took a step back and you know, from a higher level, looked at that process. We love setting it up, we love the operational element, but really if we had our time on that again, it would be making a product ourselves, so, you know, flipping it on the other side.
Now Brad, what are the business elements that you need to consider if someone wanted to start their own winery?
So a number of things to consider. The first is location. I guess that's a twofold part as well. The first being site for your vines. You know, are you wanting to be a business that has cellar door and restaurant? Do you just want to be a grower? Do you want to just buy fruit from someone else? So these are all the things to understand, you know, where do you want to play? For Matt and me, it is having our home block and having this amazing location that's all around, you know, our agricultural practices.
Right.
The flip side of that, the business lens, is it's not practical for us to have a cellar door or a restaurant because of the remote location of that site.
Okay.
So from a growing perspective, brilliant, because we're not influenced by any neighbours, anyone else using chemicals or anything else. We can truly set our own, in our own lens and direction. However, financially, how's that going to happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, understanding where you want to be. Second part is, if you are going to have a cellar door and restaurant, it needs to be on a main highway. It needs to be easy to have, you know, easy access.
Okay.
And that's exactly what our Dixon Creek property offers. You know, whether you've got a high luxury vehicle or a bus, we can, you know, offer experiences for both. Each year, the elements change, so the wine should too.
Right.
You know, I guess that comes to what we're sitting in front of right here. We're looking at two Pinot Noirs. On your right, this is our 2020 Pinot Noir that we haven't released yet, so a little sneaky peek.
Amazing, yes.
And on the left, we have our #1 seller, our 2019 Pinot Noir.
And this is an award-winning product.
It is. So we've picked up 94 points for this Pinot Noir with Australian Wine Review.
Oh, wow.
But we've had the heads up that in December and January, it's coming out as top 100 new wines with Halliday. So we're pretty pumped.
Oh, wow. And these are all vegan wines, right?
They are. Because we're all around, you know, our focus is on sustainability.
Yeah.
It means that the fruit is of high caliber.
Right.
So when that fruit comes into our winery, it means we're not focusing on fining or filtration. It really is on minimal intervention. So we don't need to add acid, because the fruit's already healthy.
Right.
And because of that, all our wine is vegan friendly.
Okay. Let's jump right into the tasting, yeah.
Absolutely. So let's start with the 2020 Pinot Noir.
Okay.
2020 was incredibly cold and wet for a really, really long time. So you'll find in general 2020 wines are more elegant, they're soft, more delicate, think European style.
Right.
And that's exactly what we have here. This Pinot Noir is 100% from our home block in Steels Creek.
Okay.
So that higher elevation and I guess think forest floor complexity with this. Will pair beautifully with dark gamier foods, sitting out on the balcony enjoying those views.
Wonderful.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's beautiful.
Really soft and elegant.
And I noticed that they're completely different in colour. Yeah. Why is that?
Again, if you think about year on year, 2019 was incredibly hot and dry for a really, really long time. So one of those spectacular years for the Yarra Valley, great volumes, but all those phenolics really got to develop appropriately. Right. And that's why you have more voluptuous, juicy wines coming out in 19.
Right.
That cooler, cold, wet weather doesn't allow that to develop at the same extent.
Yeah.
And that's why with the 19, you're having our #1 seller. It's just
the award-winning.
You know, award-winning. But it's one of those wines that no matter who comes through the door, I can guarantee 95% of people will enjoy this.
Right. Cheers.
Enjoy. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm here with Brad. We're the co-founders of Steels Gate Wines. We want to give you our top 3 tips. Number 1, immerse yourself in the region that you're looking to set up in. Understand the terroir. Know what grapes grow well. Know what wines work well, and understand the customer.
Number 2, get connected. Reach out to other businesses in the area and reach out to local industry bodies.
And then number 3, have a really strong business case. But don't stay with that business case as you first write it. Pivot as you need to. Be prepared that the industry is going to throw things at you that needs you to change and change quickly. That's it from us.
Here we are at the home block of Steels Gate. I hope you had an amazing day with Brad and Matt. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Come Up Starter Kit.